We're coming in off a 2-in-1 day for plus +0.9 units, so yes, the bankroll is still alive and breathing. Miami turned the Cotton Bowl into a cement mixer and cashed plus 9.5. The Spurs won the fourth quarter like it owed them money, and the Suns unfortunately got fourth quarter mugged by Cleveland. Now for today's card, we're riding Ole Miss plus 6.5 against Georgia, Alabama plus 7.5 against Indiana, and the Philadelphia 76ers -1 at the Dallas Mavericks. Let's start in New Orleans with Ole Miss plus 6.5 at -105 versus Georgia. The market is still charging a Georgia brand name tax, like the Bulldogs come with free next day shipping and a warranty, but this matchup is screaming volatility, and volatility is exactly what we want when we're catching points. Ole Miss has already hung 35 on this defense in Athens, and now we move this rematch into the Superdome, aka the fast track where passing games go to unlock cheat codes. Here's the real issue for Georgia: attrition in the places that matter against Ole Miss. When Georgia is healthy, they can pressure with 4 and keep bodies in coverage. But with key defensive pieces missing, especially on the edge and in the nickel slot role, the math gets ugly. If Georgia can't generate pressure without dialing up extra heat, they're basically choosing how they want to get cooked: give Chambliss time or blitz and leave one-on-ones for Ole Miss receivers in an indoor track meet. Neither option comes with a satisfaction guarantee. And Ole Miss isn't walking in here as some chaotic soap opera just because the head coach changed zip codes. The offense is still structurally intact, the playoff game plan didn't evaporate, and the first-round demolition of Tulane was the exact opposite of a team falling apart. This is a roster playing like it's a reunion tour. One last show, maximum volume. Add in the season-long ball security edge, Ole Miss has been the cleaner team in the turnover department, and we've got a profile that travels well in a neutral site shootout. If Georgia wins, fine. We're not asking Ole Miss to win the crown jewels. We're asking them to stay within 6.5 in a game environment that's built for points and momentum swings. Now to Pasadena, Alabama plus 7.5 at -110 versus Indiana. We respect what Indiana has done. Undefeated, top seed, Heisman quarterback, the whole storybook. But playoff betting isn't a fairy tale contest. It's a stress test, and the stress fractures are showing up for Indiana right where you don't want them, the defensive front. If you're entering a win-or-go-home game with critical defensive line injuries, you're basically telling the opposing offense, please feel free to stand comfortably in the pocket and do your taxes. That matters a lot here because Alabama's quarterback profile is simple. When he's protected, he's dangerous. When he's pressured, he turns into a walking plot twist. Indiana's path to separation usually involves winning the trench reps and creating negative plays. If that pass rush is compromised, Indiana either has to trust replacement-level bodies to get home, or they have to blitz more and expose the back end. And Alabama does not need 40 perfect throws to cover this number. They need a handful of clean pocket chunks, a couple extended drives, and a scoreboard that stays compressed. Speaking of compressed, the weather. When the forecast is basically Pasadena car wash, margins shrink. Timing routes get sloppier, footing gets weird, and every possession starts feeling like it's worth 2. That is exactly the kind of environment where plus 7.5 is a luxury condo. We're holding the hook over the key number, which means Indiana can win by 7 and we still cash. And in a playoff game that's likely to feel like trench warfare, a 7-point finish is not some rare unicorn outcome, it's the default setting. Also, coaching matters when everything turns into chaos. Alabama's staff has been in every kind of high-leverage situation imaginable, while Indiana is stepping into a new psychological weight class as the hunted, not the hunter. If this game gets tight late, we're not panicking holding Alabama plus 7.5. We're the ones sitting there like, yes, yes, let the mud decide. Now the NBA, Philadelphia 76ers -1 at -110 at the Dallas Mavericks. This line is basically the market saying, we think Dallas is fine at home, and we're saying, based on what evidence, Your Honor? Dallas has been living in the post-trade identity crisis part of the movie, and an identity crisis is hard enough when you have your ball handlers. It's way worse when you don't. With key guards out, Dallas is trying to run an NBA offense with duct tape and good intentions. Meanwhile, Philadelphia has the exact kind of roster that punishes that. Tyrese Maxey has been playing like a human fast-forward button, and when you give him a matchup advantage in the backcourt, Nick Nurse is going to spam that button until the controller breaks. And if Dallas has to overhelp to slow Maxey, that's when the rest of the Sixers get cleaner looks, and the math starts leaning Philly. The other part here is style. Dallas wants to play fast, and they do. But playing fast doesn't matter if you're fast-tracking into empty possessions. A high pace with a bottom-tier offense is basically cardio with consequences. Philadelphia is comfortable winning ugly, winning slow, winning with stars, winning with structure. And from a pure number perspective, we're laying -1 in a game that grades out like it should be more than that when you account for roster availability and the on-ball creation gap. -1 is not a tax, it's a discount sticker. So that's the card. Ole Miss plus 6.5, Alabama plus 7.5, and 76ers -1. Three spots where the matchup details matter more than the logo, and where the number is doing us a favor. Let's start the year the correct way, making the sportsbook do that quiet little sigh when the final horn sounds.